said, the embarrassment, the barriers, and all of that. So if governments have to be serious about promoting trade, we need to look at the cost of travel on our continent. It's not only expensive in terms of money. To travel from here to Uganda, you sleep overnight, either in Rwanda. You get a point now. Whereas from here to London, you are there. So our appreciation of the element called time is another thing that we need to look at. If we did, then all this. Now, but again, I'm talking about the causes. So the question is, today's diplomats, 20 years from now, what age group were they? What kind of capacity do we build in them? And that takes us even to the training of diplomats. How many African countries have their own diplomatic training institutions like Lesia? So we have a diplomat being trained in France, in America, in Europe, and whatever. When will Africa smile with its own teeth? Like my brother, Professor George Day said. So that's are the challenges. Africa must, and I think that if you want me to summarize it, it goes back to the point Prof made, strategic vision. We need to go back to the issue of what is the vision of our, this Africa Continental Free Trade that we are talking about. How many of our governments actually, the 48 that have ratified it, how many of them are really committed to it in terms of implementation? And you come to realize that even in their own national development plan, Africa Continental Free Trade is not even part of it. So these are the issues. And we need to be real. I think it's time for us to look in our face and tell the truth and stop this massaging of issues that has not helped us. That's my view.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I think I feel your passion. I can see your energy and passion about it. But we are looking at this is a very important issue. I have sat in meetings on AfDiB at various levels in various countries. One of the things that is missing for me is the value proposition to the countries. That by giving up some of your sovereignty, this is what ultimately will accrue to you in dividends when trade expands. But very often is discussed at the high level of policy without bringing it down, what I call after economics. What I call after economics. If I embrace, and for example, the air travel that I talk about, essentially it's about taxes. Taxes on airlines on this continent are crippling the aviation industry. Landing fees are crippling it. You travel to London to Istanbul, it's 80 euros. You travel to Accra to Abuja, it's $900 or something like that. Taxes. So the question was actually driving at how do we sell the value proposition? Prof, I'll come to you on that. How do you get a value proposition that has economic sense if you can invest now? And why the investment? By lowering some of your own sovereign tax expectations, and by dismantling some of the things that you think you as a country need. But ultimately you get more, but you have to invest. How do you do that? For me, that is where I think the conversation has not addressed the issue about diplomacy.
Yeah, so it's about incentives. So to the young people who are here, today you hear about the UN. You know, when the UN was before 1945, first, before the UN, there was a League of Nations. It couldn't succeed because the Americans were not keen, because there was no incentive. So the President Woodrow Wilson couldn't convince Congress for America to join. And once America didn't join, the league collapsed. So in 1945 in San Francisco, they have to create an incentive for the big powers. The Security Council, the P5, and they have a veto power. And that is why the UN is still there. So in every international negotiation, there has to be an incentive system. So if you are creating a continent-wide organization with different countries, different levels of development, there has to be some incentives. So I think in the AfDiB agreement, there has to be deliberate attempt to make sure that countries have a value, something that makes them want to be part of it and give up their sovereignty. Because if I have a market and I know that opening up, I'm going to lose so much, then I'll be protectionist. That's what Donald Trump is doing. Donald Trump has realized, and he has a support in America for that, what he's doing. because Americans are saying globalization has not benefited them the way it should. Therefore, they are going to tax everybody. And it's a support. That's why they voted for him twice. So in Africa, you need to identify what works for different countries and what to motivate them to want to be part of this and try to meet them midway. If you don't do that, it will not work the way we expect it to work.
Excellent, excellent. I'll come to you in a short, but I want to get a sense of what Helen thinks. Helen, and it comes down to what you do, although you are in a lot of advocacy way, but I want to come to the media again, because one of the balancing act that Prof spoke about in his presentation is how do we articulate and tell the story to ensure that we have a balance of loss of influence, territorially speaking, but at the same time, increase of influence, continentally speaking. If I look at the media landscape in our country and regionally, I don't see that kind of deliberate and intentional effort to make sure we articulate the benefit of AfTA, intercontinental trade, the big, because we talk about 1.3 trillion, we talk about the numbers of market, but these are potentials. How do we use the media to harness that potential and actually make it real? The media is a force. How do we do that?
I think it's also a case of what's happening on the ground. The numbers are huge. What is it? Some over 3 trillion US dollars seeking to be realized by AfTA. On home soil, how well are we even doing? Are we even producing? Are we industrializing? I think it's difficult to dream big when already what is happening at home doesn't feel too promising, and also across the continent, if that makes sense.
Yep.
It looks as though there isn't much happening. There's a lot of talk, but really, what is the action on the ground? To be able to inspire the continent, to be able to inspire even on a national level, there should be something happening on home soil that gives you that indication that, okay, well, we are doing something exciting that is worth exporting. And for that reason, we should all get on board as far as AfTA is concerned. Also, across the continent, we think we're producing. If we think about the ECOWAS bloc, you've got Ghana doing cocoa, Ivory Coast doing cocoa. The Nigerians are also wading into cocoa, but we're still sending out raw material. We're not sending out that finished product as it were at the moment. So that excitement, that thirst to actually expand is also limited. It makes selling the story difficult because what is the story? What is really going on ground for us to amplify? So it's again another answer that I would say is twofold. The wheels have to start turning and turning faster so that we in media can also project that. It's all well and good to project these numbers. We stand to gain 3 trillion, we stand to do XYZ, but if it's not actually happening on ground, then it just becomes, shall I say, a bit of a fairy tale. And I think that's also a very big barrier. What is actually happening on ground? And of course, the political will is a very big thing. It's come up many a time in this discussion today about how balancing national interest with intracontinental interest has become quite a big thing. Our political leaders are happy to sign these agreements, but when it comes to implementation, it's like grinding teeth. We're simply not making that motion for us to amplify. And I think that's a big reason why we're not also hearing much, is because what are we talking about? What is happening for us to also talk about?
Thank you very much, Helen. Let's applaud the panelists. Now it's your turn. You have listened to the panelists, you have listened to my questions. Now it's your turn to ask questions and also make some contributions. The only rule is that you make it very succinct and brief. If you make it into a lecture, not many people will have the opportunity to speak. But if you make it into a very succinct contribution, people will have the opportunity to engage. It's a microphone going around. If you put up your hand, I'll direct the microphone to you. The first microphone to the gentleman there, and then after that, Lawyer Nketia in front here, and then Dr. Bose and somebody else. So 3 at a time, yes.
Yeah, thank you, sir, and good afternoon to everybody. My name is Edmond Awaiti. Mr. Adetumi, doctor, sorry, you've been so impactful in our lives. Based on your years of experience and what you've done, do you think that the youth have accepted most of the things that you taught us when we invested in other things? And what do you think should be done differently to encourage that? Then my sister, the media. What role should the media play to reposition the new mindset that we intend to actually promote for the transformation of the continent? And then, Prof, our desire for foreign consumption is so inelastic. Based on your own experience, how can we encourage local consumption so that our demand for foreign goods will be reduced, so that our intention to promote African goods will be sustained? Thank you.
Okay, I'll add another rule. Don't give us a combo question. Give us one question so that, because what we are going to do, we'll take 3 set of questions and the panelists will take turns to respond. So the panelists will make notes of the question that is directed to them. If you make it a combo, 3 in 1, then by the time all the 3 people speak, there's 9 questions. It will become too difficult to respond to. So Lawyer Nketia, Dr. Bose, and the gentleman in the corner here. Lawyer Nketia is right here, and then Dr. Bose is right here, and the gentleman in the corner there. Yes.
My question goes to Prof. I think because of your talk, you said all in the lecture, so you kept on mentioning, negotiation. And we're talking about African diplomacy. So what has gone wrong in our training of our diplomats insofar as negotiation skills are concerned? Because if you go to the ICID database now, you realize that there are so many cases against Ghana. You can name them: Balkan, Anglo Gold, so many of them. And then even Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, the celebrated maritime boundary dispute. We're talking about after. So what could be done, or, one, what has gone wrong with the training of our diplomats insofar as negotiations are concerned? Because you realize that most of these cases, they are about stabilization clauses. They are about force majeure clauses that we appear not to have understood. We signed them in our bilateral and multilateral agreements. So what has gone wrong and what could be done to salvage the nation? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So Dr. Bose, and then we have one young man. For this round, they will respond and then we'll come back again. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It looks like we are feeling scared because we see the whole thing as something very big and something far away and something that we cannot do. So my humble suggestion to all of us, especially to the students, is that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. Can we all agree that in our own small way, we'll start making changes at our levels, one by one? Because otherwise, we will not be able to do what we are aiming at doing. So I am not asking a question, but I'm suggesting that every single one of us should target to start making changes at our own individual levels, that one day we are going to make this after dream come into reality by whatever we are doing in our corners, starting from school, at work, everywhere. That's my simple suggestion.
Thank you. The last question for this round before we come back again is please just mention your name and then we can, yes. Yeah.
Okay, so my name is Samuel Darcy. So I'm from University of Ghana. So my question is mostly I hear African leaders talking about the youth, everything they concern about the youth. But mostly if you check the youth which are into business mostly are not able to do well in their businesses due to the barriers, then the lack of financing and a lot of things inside the business environment. So I want to ask, what is the role of AfDA in empowering the youth to actually start up businesses and not just being the spectators, but being participants in the after policies?
Thank you very much. Thank you. So we'll go in that order. First, the first question was for my dear brother, Dr. Dentumi. The gentleman recall very well how you were very instrumental in their school days and how you actually empowered them. But the question for him is, what has happened? Do you feel confident that what the investment you made in impacting knowledge and mindset has worked? And if it hasn't worked, what do you think should have been done differently? The same gentleman came with a question to Helen and then a question to Prof. I hope you took note of them. And then the Prof, the question about these negotiation skills that we are not drilling down to diplomas, what need to change. And the last person talk about why are we not making it attractive for young people to engage in enterprises? And what are we doing to make sure that when they take risk, the risks that they take we will lower the barriers that make the risk so difficult to surmount. I guess these are the questions. Please, let's get your thoughts.
Okay, so let me
Very briefly.
Yeah, let me start with a young man from Legon. The national coordinator is I don't know whether you are leaving, but I thought that question you should be interested in that question, because there's a protocol on women and youth in trade, not in business but in trade. Of course, trade is part of business. So the coordinator has listened to you. It's part of the conversation we're having. How do they ensure that this technical document is broken down to the level where all young people can assimilate it, start to benefit from it? You get a point. So perhaps on campus, University of Ghana, instead of doing Aluta, you can organize yourselves and invite the national coordinator to come to your school to break these things down so that you know how best you can benefit from that. Is that okay? That will help you guys. Very, very important. Now, the question about I think for me, I'm satisfied with what I did about 20, 30 years ago. Because when I came back, I see a lot of the young people who went through my hands. Some are doing very well in business. In fact, the programs that we are running now, we have about 3 professors who are all part of they were university original FFLI members. One was Legon vice president, is now an associate professor. Another one was at Polytechnic, is now associate professor. In fact, one is even a vice chancellor now. I won't mention the university. So I am satisfied. So is what have you also impacted to other people? Because that's what we talk about mentorship. It cannot be from one tree. The tree has branches. So what are you also doing? Because the challenges are enormous. And I'm 61 years old now. I have about 28 more years to live. So what are you also going to do? And that's where I think it's important. Yeah? But I'm very satisfied with what I've seen so far. At least I'm very satisfied. Yes.
I think we're wishing Dr. Day to me another maybe 100 years. I don't think you I don't think your work is done. Very excited to actually be on the panel with Doc. I don't think you realize the impact that you've had on a lot of young people. Sometimes when you go on social media and you say something quite profound, somebody responds, say day to me. You don't know that you have no idea. But quickly to the question that was asked, I believe the question was about how the media can be instrumental in propelling this new mindset that we're talking about. And I think I might have touched on that quickly at the beginning, is maybe taking a multi-channel approach. So not just sticking with traditional or broadcast media, taking the message out there, meeting especially our young ones where they are. So podcasts are a big thing at the moment. Sort of short media, the use of influencers, I think, could also be quite instrumental. But fundamentally, I think if we start in from the school level, from quite a young age, they also grow up with that message
in Ghana product. Now about negotiation, lawyer, you see, you cannot be too hard on our diplomats. Most people who go to diplomacy these days are political appointed diplomats. I have students. I told you that one of my recent students is newly appointed diplomat, and I have to be giving her lectures now behind the door how to be a diplomat. Thank God, Dr. Labo and I are planning to start a master's in mediation and negotiation at Salt University College. Yes, because if you look in the curriculum of even international relations that students are taking, there's no serious attempt to negotiation. I have LLB, but in law school, nobody taught me negotiation. So diplomacy, there's no negotiation. So you can't see, just because somebody said diplomat doesn't mean the person should know negotiation. And also, we talk about curriculum. We need to decolonize the curriculum. Most of the courses that we are talking about are still using European curriculum. So Africa, what is African way of mediation negotiation? And that is why now people are studying alternative dispute resolution. In Africa, we don't have adversarial ways of resolving problems all the time. You know, when after the genocide in Rwanda, the Rwandan government felt that if you want to build stability and unity going forward, then let's use Rwandan local judicial systems. That is not punishment, but also you apologize. Like Mandela did the same thing in South Africa after apartheid, so that people accept wrongdoing and people are willing to forgive. Then that will boost stable societies than the Western adversarial, jail the person, punish him, that kind of system. So if we are using Ghanaian African ways of negotiation, we should be able to talk to our brothers from Africa in informal setting. That's what we do in Africa. We talk to each other. If you go to the chief's palace, do they always punish people? You confess, you admit, and you are forgiving your sins, and you promise not to do it again. So I think we need to Africanize a little bit some of these things, and we'll probably do better than we are currently doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Doc,
So-
let me just add
Yes, please.
some slight perspective on the issue of this patronage of Western goods and stuff like that.
Okay.
Now, if you look at the UNIDO report, just the recent one, 2023, the whole manufacturing component to GDP in Africa is about 10%. Okay? Manufacturing in Africa is about just about 10% of Africa's GDP. Now, you can't do proper Africa continental free trade area when manufacturing is that low. What are we producing? That's one thing. The other thing is standardization. Now, if you take the American jeans, I don't know whether it's now American jeans or Rwanda jeans, I'm told they produce them. If it's size 32, it's the size 32, everything is size 32. Even our own friends here with little eyes, China, whatever you do is standardized. But go and take a Ghanaian carpenter or a dressmaker. He does something for you today. The thing is nice. You take it back and say, oh, God, another material. Can you do a similar thing for me? It's a different story altogether. So this whole, and then the other thing is this aspect of attitude about culture. Customer service is so critical. And until we look at all those nitty gritties, this trade matter thing that we are talking about here will be something a Herculean task for us. But like Dr. Abose said, all of us can do it if we do it a little bit on our own, on our own terms, at our level. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We'll come back with one round more questions, but let me highlight something before I miss it, which is something that Helen said about content, social media content, media content. And one of the things she said is, which is becoming the trending path now, podcasts. Almost every technically inclined person, knowledgeable person, influencer want to have a podcast where they put out concrete content on regular basis. The question is, how are we even using that emerging media tool to advance African industrialization, for example? How are we doing that? Maybe that's something that I want to throw out to young people based on Dr. Bose's encouragement. You can create your own podcast after this. That podcast will be dedicated to young people in industrialization in Ghana, in Africa. It could be very small in your small community, Ukrasi, for example. But that podcast can lead to a whole lot of influencing of your peers and hopefully your generation. So let's take one more round and then we'll go online to pick some final questions from our participants online. So 2 hands at the back there, 1 here. Uh-oh, the hands are more than I want to pick. Okay, now your hands down. Now, let the hands, okay, I'll take from each segment 1. I'll take the lady from here. I'll take the gentleman from here, just 1, and then I'll take 1 from here. So there are 3. 3 for now. So let's start with the gentleman here. Okay, please, the lady, yeah.
Thank you. Please, my name is Gloria Boafo. I'm from Lesiad. My question goes to Prof. Please, you made mention
I
of.
see Professor too many questions this afternoon.
Because you have also been asking questions in the classroom, so.
Please, you made mention of the fact that African countries would have to be incentivized to be able to, go all out for to realize the vision of AfDiB. And I'm wondering what could be some of these incentives, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's a very, very insightful question. So this group, your turn. Whose hand was up? Please be fair. I think it was that was a hand.
Thank you, sir. My name is AfDiB Stanley from Unimac IL. So please, my question is, how can African students and young entrepreneurship position themselves to benefit from international trade agreement?
Okay, very simple. What young people do to benefit from international trade agreement. This is very, very straightforward, clear, and I think the panelists will take it in turn. The last person is at the back. Yes, whether as a student or a mature person, it's still very important. So that will be the 3 for now. I'll come back later. Please introduce yourself and ask your question.
Okay, so I'm Ofue Collins, IE from Brisek. And my question is about is on the pace of integration. So we've discussed a lot of things over here, and I don't think this is the first discussion on this topic, which means that there's something wrong with how fast we are implementing the things we are talking about. So my question is, how do we optimize the pace at which we integrate the things we are seeing over here? Because I read something online that says governments move at the pace of profits. So how do we kind of like cancel that statement, basically? Thank you very much.
Yeah, you see, your question has attracted the applause of the day because you made a very important point. And I like your view about the pace. So I think the pace question will be taken by Prof. Prof will also take the investment, the incentive that Africa you think requires. And then Dr. Adetumi, you will take that for how young people should position themselves together with Helen. Is that a fair distribution of the task? Excellent. Please, let's go with Prof.
Thank you, Madam from Lesiad. First of all, I think today we haven't talked much about what are we trading in. I think today the discussion, nobody mentioned that. Trade is about commodities, isn't it? So let's pause and ask ourselves, what are we trading amongst ourselves as Africans? Because answering that question is very critical. If you are going to be trading in identical products, if those are the products we are producing, how is that going to facilitate continental trade? But going to diversify trade, that different countries will be trading different things, then that becomes an incentive. Doc Day to me was just telling me about what happened recently to Botswana. Botswana has been the jewel for Africa in terms of development. If you look at every indicator of development, Botswana is always with the big boys. But they are suffering right now because their major commodity, diamonds, the price has fallen in the global market. And there are alternatives to diamond. So therefore, it's not as precious as it used to be. And they are taking a hit for that. That tells you that if you have a continental free trade area agreement, and most of the countries are going to be relying on primary products, and he talked again about manufacturing. We are very weak at manufacturing. So there should be incentive. If countries that are trading certain products are going to be incentivized in terms of lower tariffs, then that should be something that will incentivize them to do that. One of the things I've been telling my students in class is that, see, talk about multinational corporations, that they are very ubiquitous in the global economy, but they're all coming from the global north to the global south. And I asked them, what are the things that we can also add value to? Then I said, look at the sunshine. Look at the gift of sunshine we have in Africa. How can we not have, now European countries are leveraging on EV, electronic vehicles. Why can we not leverage on solar vehicles? There are vehicles that run on solar. So that becomes something, our comparative advantage. We can use solar, you make cell phones, computers that run on solar, so that we can market that to other countries that also have enough sunshine to run the vehicles or the machines. So we need to, first of all, look at the commodities that we are trading in the continental free area of Africa. Then see which ones we can incentivize, give exemptions, the same way European countries or America give exemptions to certain products. Canada and America right now, they are fighting because three of them, Canada, Mexico, and America, belong to what they call the UMSCA, the US, Mexico, Canada agreement. It used to be NAFTA. Now in that area, free zone area, there were certain goods that were supposed to be exempt, but Donald Trump doesn't seem to be respecting that. So Canada is fighting them. Now in Africa, we should have something like that that allows us to give exemptions to certain products so that they attract least tariffs. That way, we'll be able to trade. Otherwise, you have this free trade area, yet you may not have enough products coming from Africa. You may still have to rely on them. If countries are manufacturing cars in Africa, what incentives do you give to them to do that so that they can sell cars in Africa? If you don't do that, and the European and the Asian cars are still cheaper, the Africans will still be importing cars from Asia. When a car guy like Katanka is in Ghana, all you have to do for him to give him some incentive. Do you understand? So we need to look at the product that we are trading in and see which ones can attract least tariffs. And I think that would be the way to go.
Prof,
Thanks.
I will not leave you yet. The gentleman from PSEC talked very eloquently about the pace.
The pace, yeah.
And his worry is how do we accelerate this pace? Because that is also one way of carrying everybody around.
Yeah, so the pace question, remember I give the history of integration in Africa from the days of Kwame Nkrumah to date. There are certain things that are holding us back. We talked already about the lack of the political will. These same leaders who go to sign this agreement, when they get home, they either forget about it or they are not willing to let go their sovereignties. And two, I also mentioned about linguistic barrier. Trade cannot happen if we continue to see ourselves Anglophones, Lusophones, and what have you. We need to make a deliberate effort not to allow language. It may have to be that right now what you have these multiple languages. Do we have interpreters? I was at the launch of the KPIs or the envoys at the ministry the other day. The foreign minister said they now want to be deliberate about language. So they've created a new bureau in foreign affairs called Culture and Language or Linguistics Bureau or something like that, where they are going to be deliberate about training our diplomats in different languages. Because when they went to Japan recently with the president, they have to be doing sign language because there was only one interpreter. And once the person is with the president, the rest of you are on your own. Nobody's interpreting for you. You are just there. So as a continent that has suffered from colonialism with foreign languages, either we deliberately learn each other's languages, and Ghana, we have been very bad at that. All our neighboring countries, they have French and the C. We learn only the C, the French, we haven't learned it. And if there's something should happen to Ghana right now, you are a refugee in another country, which language are you going to be speaking? So our educational system has not leveraged French. So I think language has been one of the things that has slowed the pace of integration. Then common currency. I mentioned that in my lecture, that the inability to convert our currencies easily in each other's country is problematic. So we need to work on all those in order to accelerate the pace. If you don't address those things, it's not going to work. ECOWAS alone wanted to have a common currency. They started this discussion, if I'm not mistaken, over 30 years ago. Every year they'll push it. Oh, we'll start 2 years' time. Then they'll say, oh, next year. It's not happening because the Francophone countries in West Africa, some way, somehow, they have gone ahead to work with the French to have a different currency. So that has actually destabilized the West African dream of common currency. So colonial legacies also slow the pace, in addition, linguistics barrier and other things I've mentioned. So we need to address them. Otherwise, we'll come here that time and be repeating the same point I'm making right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I know we are running out of time, but let's our two panelists respond quickly to the youth question, which essentially is how should they position themselves to take advantage of trade agreements that are being signed on their behalf, I should say. If you can be very brief about that, yes.
I'm sure. I think that young ones should start to train that entrepreneurial muscle, if you will. Also take advantage of growth sectors. Get involved in culture. We know fintech is booming, IT, also the creative industries. And whilst you're doing so, I would encourage that young entrepreneurs build their digital and entrepreneurial skills. Talk about customer service on this panel this morning. Very important as well. Accessing finance and investment. The money isn't going to come to you. The investment isn't going to come to you. You have to put yourself in a position to go out and also sell what it is that you have. Take advantage of interventions and programs, either governmental or otherwise, that are offering these incentives, tax incentives. Sometimes you get a grant. There's some monetary incentives as well for you to propel your business. I think what I'm trying to say is that you've got to be proactive. Attend events such as this to also get more of a sense of what is happening on the continent and also what is happening nationally. So take advantage of these key sectors, broaden the horizon. You know, the raw materials that we have here in Ghana. How can you make it sexy? How can you upgrade it so that it's something that is wanted across the continent? The onus lies on you to also do your part so that your business is attractive across the continent. And you take advantage of this, what is it, 3 trillion US dollars that is waiting for you.
Thank you. Yeah, Dr. Day, to me, very brief one.
Just two things. Number, are you a university student? You say you are from the university? The one who asked the question? Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So Helen said earlier that young people now have a short span of attention span. Refuse that and expand it yours. Very important. Be deliberate about it. Now, what do I mean by this? Go to the National Secretariat of AfDiB and ask for the protocol document. You can even get it online if you go to the Africa Continental Free Trade website. Download the Africa Protocol on Women and Youth and try to understand the content so well, because that is what is going to help you to take advantage of it. You get the point? And then you now have to determine what kind of product or commodity you go to trade in. You may start somewhere. I mean, you can start from, I don't know what it is. You may start by producing shoes or handkerchief, which is unique, that nobody else is producing in Togo or Nigeria or whatever, by putting some accessory jar somewhere in it or make it Ghanaian. Okay, that will make it unique. Then you can now start trading inter border or cross country. That is how you take advantage of that. Once you're able to get a product or a commodity that people will be interested in, and you have full knowledge of what the content is, then you apply yourself to it. All the incentives that are embedded in it, you can take advantage. But you cannot just get up and say, I'm the young person, so I want to take advantage of it. You have to have something that people are interested in other countries to be able to take advantage. Is that okay? All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we virtually ran out of time, but we do have some participants online. A couple of comments have come. Permit me to share them with you, and then we can be winding up. The conversation doesn't stop after this. In fact, this is just the beginning of it. And as you can see, we are building a platform to engage in a conversation about diplomacy and business as part of the AfDiB project. This is from Emmanuel Chega, Dr. Nkrumah, and he says the suggestions are for Prof. and Dr. Detumi. Dr. Nkrumah published 2 very special articles, still relevant articles, while studying in the University of Pennsylvania in Penn's Educational Outlook. In 1941, he wrote on primitive education in West Africa. His other article, which appeared in 1943, is a more explicit connection of colonialism and the struggles over African educational institutions. It is titled Education and Nationalism in Africa. So that is something that you may want to look for and read. I want to build on the point made by Dr. Detumi of expanding your attention span. It's going to become a critical skill and value for the next generation. You can write it down. Being able to expand your attention span to make it longer and bigger is going to become a very critical skill for success, because social media is reducing, and AI is going to make it worse, is reducing your attention span and your ability to think. So all it does now is your attention span is growing smaller and smaller and smaller, and it will diminish. So the people that will be champions will be people who have wide attention span and capacity to think for themselves. So it's a skill that if you want to build now, a couple of things you start doing is reading, not on your device, a real book. Carry it and read it extensively. Consume it extensively. I still read. I always have a physical book to read. If you don't do that, your attention span will go to technology. Technology will think for you. Technology will do things for you. And to come a time, only people who can think for themselves and have wide attention span will be valuable for industry. It's as simple as that. So I want to add that as we wind up this very interesting conversation. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's been great fun for me. Thank you so much, Dr. Detumi and Helen, and Prof, my very good friend, for your wisdom, for your candor. This conversation has reminded us that after will be shaped not just by policies, but by culture, by leaders, by people, ordinary, regular people like us, who have the inspiration to act boldly, confidently, take steps that can translate into action. So as we close this, I want to thank our distinguished panelists for sharing such powerful insights. What stands out is that progress and the after is not an abstract dream. It is a practical journey that depends on all of us, particularly on leadership, collaboration, and courage. I want us all to live here challenged to play our part in building that future. A big thank you again to our panelists. Let's move forward to deeds, taking the words of inspiration we have received now and take ambition to achievement. Let the work begin, and let it begin now. Thank you very much.
Please, another round of applause for our esteemed panelists. And Doc, you did exceptionally great with the moderation. Thank you so much. At this time, we will get back to our chairperson, Ambassador Elizabeth J, to share her closing remarks. Please, let's welcome her. Okay, please forgive me, I skipped the protocol. Okay, so we are moving on to the next steps to ensure that the dialogue moves from conversation to action. And we are pleased to invite the Vice President of Salt University. Please put your hands together. Dr. Fatima Alabo.
Way we came, it's not the way we are. True, especially the young people. Okay, thank you. We spent some hours together, and I believe we have grown in our knowledge in some things that some of us have never heard about. My duty today in this dialogue is to go the next steps. What's the way forward for the dialogue 2025? So, Excellency, distinguished invitees, guests, colleagues, and friends, young people. So, on behalf of Salt University College, I wish to thank you all for making this maiden African diplomacy and business dialogue. And I believe we have engaged deeply into things that I haven't seen on media, haven't seen on TV, where diplomacy meets business. Either we talk about diplomats or we talk about business, but marrying them together so they can bring us children. That's a joke. So first of all, we should take from here things that will help us go forward, that whatever has been put in place should function for Africa and for Africans. So we should institutionalize this dialogue. Shouldn't be one day wonder. We have spoken, we have brought all issues, and we close the matter and we move. We should make it a thing that Salt Institute will bring partners, will work with the ministries, will work with the unions that we saw the young man who spoke with such passion. And Salt Institute is committed to work in this manner, bring things that are not there, and help the visions of our first African leaders throughout Africa. Even when Mandela was in prison, coming out, is all for the sake of Africans. We have seen change on the African continent, and especially change in the type of leadership. Leaders who were committed, having no houses. One had a bicycle to go from work to his house. But you look now, we watched last time one African leader going jogging. Don't know if you have seen that clip. He's going jogging. He has cars, bodyguards, wherever, for one person. And this should change completely. Now, we said first, institutionalize the dialogue. 2, create a working group. From today, we need to bring a working group to think, to put down things that not only the old people do, the young people will have it, like the daily bread lectures. They will know, they will see. Third one is the develop the knowledge and training hub. We need that. We need to have that knowledge. And Salt Institute will host a knowledge hub. So I will make sure that we will have that hub in Salt Institute, and you are all invited to do research in business and research, case studies, bring it to Salt University College. Will be very glad to work. And that hub will equip us as Africans, as leaders of tomorrow, leaders of today, leaders of tomorrow. You cannot be a leader just standing. You may have all the attributes, but you need to equip yourself as a leader, know everything that will pertain to moving forward and realizing the desires of your mom as young people, the desires of your village, the desire of community. Then we move towards country, towards continent. The first one is the foster business diplomacy partnership. We need to do that. And a clear message from what we did has emerged that diplomacy cannot act in isolation. It cannot. Diplomats by themselves, business people by themselves, we need to bring them. So the foster the business diplomacy partnership will be our next step. Our fifth step is the launch of an African diplomacy and business dialogue with youth and women initiative. So that is our fifth step. So Africa's transformation will falter if we don't engage the young people and engage women. I say young women, women in general. So we will partner as a university, we will partner with all who wants to come and bring this dialogue into a permanent institution or institutionalized dialogue to give the young entrepreneurship and women a voice in the trade, in the trading market, in the place. So the sixth next step is to prepare the dialogue 2026. So you are all invited with your proposals, with your ideas, what you can write, you can send messages about how do you see dialogue 2026, and our journey will continue. We are not stopping here. In conclusion, I want to say that this maiden dialogue has set a new milestone in Ghana, and I believe in Africa. But milestones are not destinations. They are markers along a greater journey. Today, milestones will mark just the first milestone in this journey that we are taking, and we will make it we will make it clear wherever we find the way to write, to bring to bring business and diplomacy together. The journey of Africa's economic rebirth, it will be long and demanding because we are different and we have to come together. But with vision, unity, and action, we will reach where we are. So vision plus action. I just want to leave you with three things. Vision plus action. Africa does not need more speeches. We need actions. So second one, diplomacy plus business unity. Like the president said, when diplomacy shakes hand with business, Africa shines. The third one, urgency plus destiny. The time for promise has passed. This is the hour of delivery. Thank you.
Oh, we can do better. Dr. Fatima Alabo is the Vice President, Salt University College, and I'm sure that the next steps, actionable steps, would be documented and circulated to all of us. It's now time for us to hear from our chairperson. Please let's acknowledge Ambassador Elizabeth Ejay.
Thank you very much. At this stage, I am standing between you and lunch, so I'm going to be very very quick. Well, somebody told me once that diplomacy is when, Prof said something about it, go to your village, send you somewhere to tell a lie. But another part is said somebody gives you, you give me your watch and I tell you the time. It's not so much so, but I think today we have learned a lot about what diplomacy is about, especially in the context of the AfTA. And so as we conclude, I just like to express my appreciation to the speakers, the panelists, the participants. I think you have done a real great job. It has been engaging, it has been informative, it has been interactive, and the questions that have come out just shows how much interest there has been in this subject matter. So I think we all deserve a round of applause. Having said that, I think that I learned a lot. It covered so much ground, and there's a lot that I learned, but there are a few takeaways that I would like to highlight, out of this wide range of issues that were discussed. AfTA is a project of destiny to achieve the Africa we want. When I called Kwakwe last stop, I think when a bus is going the last stop, this, after all the things that we have been through, AfTA seems to be the last stop for Africa. And we have to really take advantage of this as an opportunity for us to reshape the destiny of Africa, and the prosperity and everything that we want lies in this great project, and we need to look beyond our noses and beyond our small countries, to look at the bigger picture, and that is what is going to take us there. So it's not just about trade, as Dr. Kofi said, it's about leadership, it's about inclusivity, and it's about the history, as Professor also highlighted, behind all this. We highlighted the role of diplomacy. Africa must engage as a unified bloc. We want to have harmonized diplomacy, speak or negotiate with one voice. Our foreign policy must prioritize AfTA, and have shared messages and a unified Africa trade policy. All these are aspirations that we like to have. But most importantly, as Prof stressed, diplomacy is not just for diplomats. It's just a mindset to represent Africa. It's for everybody. And Nkrumah's diplomacy transcended negotiations, conferencing, football, airlines, anything that will put Ghana and Africa on the map. So that was very important. We looked at the role of diplomats, the diplomats, the ones who carry a lot of documents around. Signing agreements, fostering cooperation, communication, and building strategic partnerships, amongst countries. We also talked about having an inclusive process, regarding the successful implementation of AfTA. Academics, business people, we heard them today, and a lot of wisdom from the business community. Young people, we're seeing you as initiators, innovators, entrepreneurs. You are at the center of AfTA. We heard that today. And it's incumbent on us to develop that human capital, develop your capacities and your capabilities to be able to meet this. So we have a certain call to action, and that is we unite or we perish. Let this go with you. Africa unites at this stage using the AfTA platform, or we perish. We also need to support the trade value chains. We need to decolonize everything that we have, decolonize our mind, our public policy, our our politics, and something else that I think was, I'm sorry? Education. And there was one that I didn't want to, yeah, decolonize our curriculum. It's education, our curriculum, and so on. So the conversation will continue from here. Our conclusion is that there is a destiny to fulfill Nkrumah's dream. Nobody has come with any dream that actually surpasses that. So we still have that as the base dream. But without Africa, without diplomacy, AfDiB will remain a dream. And so we have to all come together to drive it. Thank you very much.
Well done. Let's do it one more time.
Let's summarize.
And as said by Zig Ziglar, among all the attributes you can acquire, the attitude of gratitude is always super abundant. To express our collective gratitude for all who made it for AfDiB 2025, please, let's welcome the Registrar of Salt University College, Madame Denise Anatri, to give us the vote of thanks. Oh, let's do it.
Thank you. He's done a great job as an MC, so let's all give him a round of applause. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of SALT University College and the organizers of African Diplomacy and Business Dialogue 2025, I extend heartfelt gratitude to our keynote speaker, Professor Lord Mauko Yevuga, and our chairperson, Ambassador Elizabeth Eje, and Professor Olushola Oyewole, the Secretary General of the Association of African Universities, who joined us as special guest of honor and in whose facility this program has been hosted. Let's give them a round of applause. We also appreciate the representative of the Ministry of Trade, and as well as the representative from AfCFTA, as well as all of the universities and secondary schools who took time out to come. I know some of you were doing exams, some were on vacation. Just give yourselves a round of applause. Well, as young people, I think you did so well in coming here. It may not be such an exciting topic for some other young people, but the fact that you made time to come here, I think it's very, very instructive to all of us, and you're well appreciated. Our thanks also goes to our distinguished discussants, Dr. Emmanuel Deytumi and to Ms. Helen Appiah-Ampofo, as well as to our moderator, Professor Maoli Kofi. Please give them a round of applause. Yes, you've been promoted, doctor. Sorry. We do not forget all of our CEOs, our diplomats, media houses, and participants whose contributions enriched this dialogue. I think you all did a great job. I'm particularly proud of our pre-sec gentleman who asked a question. I just want you to know that we appreciate that coming from teenagers. Yes, you, the teacher who brought them as well. You did well. Thank you very much, madam. It shows that you're doing a good job with your students. Well done. Last but not least, I want to acknowledge the staff, faculty, the president and vice president of SALT University, without whom this would not have been possible. Please let's give them a big round of applause. And the organizing committee, who worked tirelessly day and night to make this day a reality. We want to give them a big round of applause as well. And the protocol team who came from various places to make this day seamless. Thank you so much. As an institution, Salt University is committed to thought leadership in Africa, and we are proud to convene spaces like this. And as Vice President says, this shouldn't just be a one-day event. We hope that year after year, we will continue to convene spaces like this here and elsewhere. I believe this is going to grow. So may the partnership and ideas shared today propel us forward, unlocking the full promise of AfDiB. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Shall we please be upstanding for the closing prayer? And I'd like to call on the Vice President of SUC to help us with the closing prayer.
Thank you. Please let's pray. Before we pray, okay. Okay, let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you and we bless your holy name. We thank you for gathering us together. Something that just by accident or by force or by obligation, but you have it all covered, the end from the beginning. And you know what we will acquire, what we will gain. Lord, I know that Africa has a special place in your heart. Father, I know that it's a place that you have assigned even for your son to be kept alive, to be kept in Africa. You have assigned your people to be safe and sound. And that's why sometimes we think that what's happening to us as African, what's happening in Africa, Lord, we know that we need to bring prayer. But you said, Lord, that prayer alone will not bring the desired result unless we do something. Lord, we have heard you, we have put up the dialogue, and everybody has spoken, but you have the final say. Let your word come to each heart here present. Let your word of hope, word of elevation to the heart, the life of everyone present here. Let your reward come in a way that we have never expected. Africa will arise. Africa will shine. Africa will become first, because you said the last will be first and the first will be last. And we are expecting, Father, in this season and this time, that Africa will shine. And when we say African, we say we will shine. Africans will shine. The north to the south, the east to the west. And we commit our lives unto you from here. And we say, Lord, give us witty ideas that we can move the continent. We can move the governments. It's not by might, neither by power, it's by your spirit. So we pray for your spirit to take over our leaders, our policymakers, our diplomats, our business people, and put them on your train, so we can reach our destination to be first. Thank you. We bless you in the name of Jesus Christ. We have prayed. Amen.
Thank you so much. Please, we have lunch, packed lunch for all of us, so ensure you pick it and spend a minute or two to get to know someone. Don't just walk out. Get to know someone. Thank you so much for coming. See you at the next edition. Thank you and have a good afternoon.
Welcome to Sandals Advanced Leadership.
So you can pick your lunch at the exit. Thank you. And if you've not registered, please ensure you have scanned and registered.
Africa as well as for the global marketplace.
The founding organization of the SALT Institute, Intercessors for Africa, has been praying for several years that God will bring change to our dear continent, Africa. In 1997, during a time of waiting on the Lord in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, before a prayer conference, the Lord told one of our leaders that prayer alone by itself will not solve the myriad of challenges confronting Africa. We must take action to train and equip the leaders who will bring about the desired transformation in the continent. The Sandals Advanced Leadership Training Institute, SALT Institute, is a response to that divine call.
SALT Institute is accredited to run academic programs, including Master of Arts in Leadership and Management, Master of Arts in International Relations and Diplomacy, Bachelor of Arts in Transformational Leadership, and Bachelor of Arts in International Relations, and a host of new programs which are soon to be introduced.
We have satellite campuses dotted across Africa, and some of our students are even outside the continent because of our blended model of in-person and online learning. Our programs are tailored for the needs of the modern day students.
We have a big vision to raise servant leaders for Africa to transform the continent. And for us to be able to achieve this, we have set up an educational fund that seeks to raise $10 million to finance current and future projects. The current project we are working on is the construction of a new campus in Accra, Ghana. This will be our permanent campus, which will be a world-class environment for academic learning.
The Educational Fund will, among others, support the establishment of a scholarship scheme to needy students with great potential to be trained as servant leaders for Africa, the construction of a state-of-the-art library and research center.
To contribute to our education fund, such as the construction of a state-of-the-art campus facility, you can commit to a monthly, quarterly, or yearly donation plan of any amount, or sponsor a student to study at the SALT Institute, or become a fundraiser connecting the Institute to philanthropic individuals and organizations.
SALT Institute is changing the narrative on Africa.
SALT Institute is the newest destination for top-notch education in Africa.
We are counting on your support to make this vision a reality. God bless you. Welcome to Sandals Advanced Leadership Training Institute. This institute was established in 2003 with a commitment to raising, training, and developing servant leaders for business and public life in Africa as well as for the global marketplace.
The founding organization of the SALT Institute, Intercessors for Africa, has been praying for several years that God will bring change to our dear continent, Africa. In 1997, during a time of waiting on the Lord in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, before a prayer conference, the Lord told one of our leaders that prayer alone by itself will not solve the myriad of challenges confronting Africa. We must take action to train and equip the leaders who will bring about the desired transformation in the continent. The Sandals Advanced Leadership Training Institute, SALT Institute, is a response to that divine call.
SALT Institute is accredited to run academic programs, including Master of Arts in Leadership and Management, Master of Arts in International Relations and Diplomacy, Bachelor of Arts in Transformational Leadership, and Bachelor of Arts in International Relations, and a host of new programs which are soon to be introduced.
We have satellite campuses dotted across Africa, and some of our students are even outside the continent because of our blended model of in-person and online learning. Our programs are tailored for the needs of the modern day students.
We have a big vision to raise servant leaders for Africa to transform the continent. And for us to be able to achieve this, we have set up an educational fund that seeks to raise $10 million to finance current and future projects. The current project we are working on is the construction of a new campus in Accra, Ghana. This will be our permanent campus, which will be a world-class environment for academic learning.
The Educational Fund will, among others, support the establishment of a scholarship scheme to needy students with great potential to be trained as servant leaders for Africa, the construction of a state-of-the-art library and research center.
To contribute to our education fund, such as the construction of a state-of-the-art campus facility, you can commit to a monthly, quarterly, or yearly donation plan of any amount, or sponsor a student to study at the SALT Institute, or become a fundraiser connecting the institute to philanthropic individuals and organizations.
SALT Institute is changing the narrative on Africa.
SALT Institute is the newest destination for top-notch education in Africa.
We are counting on your support to make this vision a reality. God bless you.